The one thing that comes up time and time again when I'm in schools giving talks or running workshops, or even when I receive emails from readers talking about, what their dreams are and what they hope to achieve in their life, the one thing that comes up as a sort of stumbling block and an obstacle time and time again is the fear of failure. What if it all goes wrong? And so often that can stop people from even beginning. And I know this better than anyone. I mean, that's what led to me dropping out of uni, because once I got to uni and, I'd grown up on a council estate and come from a really sort of poor background, and then I got to uni and everyone else on my course seemed to have come from a much more well-off background to me. And so I started to think to myself, well, how can I compete against these people, when it comes to further down the line and hopefully having a career in publishing or as a writer? How can I compete in that middle class world? And I was so scared of failing that I dropped out. And so in a way, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the thing I can say to you now, many years later, and many successes and failures later, is that actually the fear of failure is a lot worse than the failure itself. So sometimes we can be so scared of things going wrong that we don't even try to achieve our dreams. But that's such a shame, because actually, as someone who has had failures, I mean, I've written books that have never got published, that have been rejected by publishers, and yet, which at one point would have been my worst fear, and certainly, the worst kind of failure I could have faced. But I picked myself up and I carried on, and then went on to achieve success beyond my wildest dreams. So I would say to you, if you are worried of failure, if you are worried of it all going wrong, don't, because there's always something to be gained from a failure. You always learn something, and so that's the best way of dealing with things when they do all go wrong, is to ask yourself, what have I learnt from this? What's the positive from this experience? And at first it might be impossible to think of anything positive, but there will be something. You will have learnt something. You will have gained some kind of experience. So in summary, don't be afraid of failure. Go for your dreams. And if things do go wrong, just ask yourself, what's the lesson in this? What have I learnt? And then pick yourself up and move on.